رابطة إحياء التراث العربي في أستراليا توزع جائزة جبران الأدبية لهذا العام. فاز كل من جو عساف وحسين السماوي بجائزة رابطة جبران العالمية للعام 2012، وقد فاز عساف لعطاءاته الفكرية والاجتماعية والإعلامية، أما السماوي فلأعماله الموسيقية. الاحتفال أقيم هذا العام في برلمان ولاية نيو ساوث ويلز بحضور القنصل اللبناني جورج بيطار غانم، النواب فيليب رادوك، توني عيسى، باربرا بيري، وعضوي المجلس التشريعي جان عجاقة وشوقة مسلماني، وعدد من النواب الفيدراليين والمحليين، بالإضافة إلى رئيس دير مار شربل الأب الدكتور أنطوان طراباي، ومدير عام البنك العربي في أستراليا جو رزق، وحشد من المفكرين والمهتمين بالشؤون الثقافية والفكرية والأدبية، ورؤساء مجالس وروابط ومؤسسات. قدمت المناسبة الآنسة ساندرا كلثوم التي افتتحت بالنشيد الأسترالي وقصيدة المحبة لجبران.
إذا المحبة قومت إليكم فاتبعوها، إذا ضمتكم بجناحيها فأطيعوها.
ثم كانت دقيقة صمت وقوفا على روح الرئيس السابق للرابطة الراحل بطرس عنداري، فكلمة ترحيب من النائب توني عيسى تلاه رئيس تحرير التلغراف أنطوان القزي، فقنصل لبنان العام جورج بيطار غانم الذي ألقى كلمة السفير اللبناني جان دانييل. تحدث بعده رئيس الرابطة إلي نصيف وممثل رئيس حكومة الولاية باري أوفريل، النائب راي ويليامز، والنائبة باربرا بيري التي ألقت كلمة زعيم المعارضة جون روبرتسون، والنائب فيليب رادوك، ومدير عام البنك العربي جو رزق. ركز المتكلمون على أهمية الاستمرار في تقديم جائزة جبران، وعرضوا لتاريخها ولتاريخ رابطة إحياء التراث العربي. في نهاية الاحتفال سلمت الجائزة لجو عساف الذي ألقى كلمة بالمناسبة.
ولدت عربي اللسان، أتكلم لغة المتنبي وخليل جبران. تثقفت بلغة فولتير ولامارتين. هاجرت إلى بلاد يتكلم أهلها لغة شكسبير.
وحسين السماوي الذي ألقى كلمته الفنان إسماعيل فاضل.
ولقد كان لنا الشرف أن يشمل التكريم هذا العام فنان العراق المبدع حسين السماوي، فنان منعه المرض أن يقدم الشكر بنفسه، فخط بأنامله التي طالما داعبت أوتار العود لتسمعنا تلك الألحان العراقية الخالدة.
كما جرى مزاد علني على إحدى لوحات جبران خليل جبران التي رسمها الفنان العراقي إدوارد هيدو، ثم اختتم الاحتفال بكلمة شكر للنائب توني عيسى. معلوم أن الرابطة درجت على توزيع جائزة جبران منذ عام 1981 تاريخ تأسيسها حتى اليوم. وعلى هامش توزيع جائزة جبران تسلم رئيس رابطة إحياء التراث العربي إلي نصيف درعا تقديرية من النائب توني عيسى لخدماته طيلة سنوات هجرته إلى أستراليا في المجالات الاجتماعية والثقافية. نترككم الآن مع لقطات من مناسبة توزيع جائزة جبران في برلمان ولاية نيو ساوث ويلز للعام 2012.
to invite you all to stand for the Australian National Anthem and Nasheed al-Mahabbi. We ask that you will remain standing after both anthems for a moment's silence in commemoration of the late Boutros Anderi, a noble gentleman and previous president of the Arabic Heritage League. A moment's silence for the late Boutros Anderi. Please be seated. The Arabic Heritage League in Australia is an association committed to recognising the efforts of people from Arabic-speaking backgrounds that have contributed positively in their fields of expertise and the wider community. On behalf of Mr. Ali Nassif, President of the Arabic Heritage League Australia, I would like to acknowledge our distinguished guests and ask that you leave your applause to the end. Father Antoine Tarabai, the Honourable Philip Ruddock, Federal Member for Berowra, Louise Marcus, Federal Member for Macquarie, Ray Williams, Member for Hawkesbury, representing the Premier, the Honourable Barry O'Farrell, the Honourable Victor Dominello, Minister for Citizenship and Aboriginal Affairs, Tony Issa, Federal State Member for Granville, Matt Keane, Member for Hornsby, John Ajaa, MLC, Shaukat Musulmani, MLC, Barbara Perry, Member for Auburn, and George Bitar Ghanim, Lebanese Consul General in New South Wales. The Arabic Heritage League was formed in 1981 to facilitate information between Australia and the homeland, allowing for continued dialogue about intellectual activity and humanitarian creativity. I would like now to invite Mr. Tony Issa, our host for the evening, to officially welcome us.
Good evening, everyone. Masal khair, everyone. First, I want to acknowledge the traditional owner of the land and to pay respect for the elders past and present. I was going to ask Sandra to lend me her list so we'll be able to welcome each and every one of you. Certainly, I look around the room, I could see everyone as a special guest tonight. To my colleagues, federal and state members, to the Consul General of Lebanon, George Bitar Ghanim, Dr. Antoine Tarabay. The list we're never going to finish if we're going to go on and on and on. But let me tell you, to be here today in the Parliament of New South Wales, you are a very special guest. It is my pleasure and my honour to be able to host this evening, that event here in New South Wales Parliament, the House of Democracy. My relationship with the Arab Heritage League goes for many, many years. Probably about 14 to 15 years ago, I was asked to host a similar event at the Granville Town Hall when I was a Deputy Lord Mayor of the city. And today, as member of the Parliament of New South Wales, I was asked again to host this event here. I want to thank the Arab Heritage League for being able to carry that flame, keep it burning here in Australia, and recognise the contribution of many, many people, especially to the award of Khalil Gebran. I'm not going to name each and every president went through, but certainly I want to stop in one person, Boutros Andari, because we have to. He's no longer with us. There's not a person I will stop and think about, Naeem Khouri. That's the person, he introduced me to the Arab Heritage League. Today, it is a special night for each and every one of you. Maybe for some special people going to be recognised tonight. In reality, if we look around for the contribution of many people, everyone needs to be recognised. But unfortunately, I don't think we're in position to do this for everyone. They have to select somebody. Whoever been selected today, I'm sure they're well deserved. On behalf of New South Wales Government, on behalf of my college, the federal and state, I'd like to welcome you all here. I wish you all an enjoyable night. Thank you.
I would now like to invite Mr. Antoine Azzi, fellow MC, to share a few words about the association that has brought us all together tonight.
مساء الخير. قومي نرود الدنا ونزدان، نرمي شباكا لنا والحرف قبطان، يا ريشة من قميص الأرز عروتها، من حبرها لون الآفاق نيسان، في أورفليس استفاق الموج مبتسما، من دمعة الثلج ذابت فيه ألوان، للمصطفى أهدت الأسحار أنجمها، والشرق درب السنا والوعد لبنان، لولاه ما كانت بشر مكللة، بالمجد تزهو لصدر الشرق نيشان، قومي بلادي جبين الضوء نغمره، أمسى نبيا يجوب الكون جبران. للملهمين أن يفترشوا الأثير حقول عطاء، يفتحون أبواب الضوء كرعاة الدروب يسوقون النهارات من ثغور الأسحار إلى مناكب الغروب. ثلث قرن ورابطة إحياء التراث العربي تغرس في جدار السهر أقلام العطاء، تفرد بيادرها، تولم لعصافير الكلمة على مد الطموح، تبسط السطور أغصانا لطيور الحل والترحال، تغرف من كل موجة نهدة لقصيدة، وتحمل مع كل مركب قبعة لرسام، وتسدل من كل غيمة رذاذا للقصائد العابرة، وترصد على الرمال ظلالا لرواة ألهبوا الأقلام في بلاد المد والجزر، فأنبتت قرائحهم فتونا يباري السواري ويخط دروب النوارس. هو لحن الحياة الذي عزفته رابطة إحياء التراث العربي في أستراليا يوم شد كامل المر أول أوتاره منذ 32 عاما، وأطلق نوتاته اليافعة ليحمل فؤاد نمور وبطرس عنداري وإلي نصيف الأمانة بشغف الوفاء، ولتبقى الرابطة أرجنا يراقص الضاد تيها هنا وبهاء هناك وإبداعا هنالك. على شجرة رابطة إحياء التراث العربي حطت أسراب وعبرت رفوف واكتحلت شموس وأينعت ثمار، وعلى أغصان جائزة جبران العالمية تألقت طيور من فيروز إلى نزار قباني إلى محمود أمين العالم، لينثروا من على شرفة رابطة إحياء التراث هيولاهم، ويبسط أديمهم من حرف قدموس وفلسفة ابن رشد وصفاء كرمة أندلسية وخيال ألف ليلة وليلة ورحابة رحلة سندباد. ثوار الريشة والمداد عبروا ذاك الباسيفيك، أتوا بالنفائس وذهبوا بالهدايا، جاءوا بالهم الأكبر يحملون الشعلة التي لا تطفئها مياه المحيطات، وعادوا مطمئنين. لماذا مطمئنين؟ لأن مخدة رابطة إحياء التراث العربي في أستراليا لا يؤرقها قلق ولا يأخذ منها نعاس، بل هي ربيبة الحرف المتحفز، وحولها ربابنة ليس عشقهم سوى السهر إلى مائدة المحابر، يرسمون الحد الفاصل بين العقل واللسان والأنامل. كم شهد هذا الاغتراب عصبا وروابط وجمعيات ومنتديات، كم طفى البعض منها على السطح ورافق الزبد ليصطدم بصخور الشاطئ، وكم تعرض بعضها لأنواء هزمت فيه الطموح، لكن شراع الرابطة ما زال صياد صباحات وسمير نجوم تألفه الشواطئ الرحبة، يلامس رمال الدفء ويصحو على نسائم شرقية تنظم بيتها الأول على تثاؤب الدوري والقرميد، وتختم القصيدة مع قهوة ترتجف على شفاه جمرات لا تنطفئ. سقى الله مساكب الحصادين وبارك في غلالهم، وأخذ بأيدي الرابطة وأهلها لتبقى شجرة الضوء ونحن الظلال. وشكرا. يسرنا بهذه المناسبة أن يتواجد بيننا ممثل الدولة اللبنانية في مناسبة عالمية هي مناسبة جبران. نستمع إلى قنصل لبنان العام في نيو ساوث ويلز الأستاذ جورج بيطار يعني. فليتفضل.
شكرا. مساء الخير. شرفني سعادة السفير بأنه أحكي كلمته، لأنه اليوم مش رح يقدر يحضر شخصيا، ورح تكون كلمة باللغة العربية كما كتبها سعادة السفير جمعا. السادة الوزراء والنواب الكرام، الأب الدكتور أنطوان طلباي رئيس دائرة مارشارفيل، رؤساء وأعضاء المجالس البلدية، السيدات والسادة، أيها الحفل الكريم، لا يمكنني التكلم عن جو عساف هذا الرجل العصامي والمكافح دون الإشارة إلى كتابه In Someone Else's Shoes. في هذا الكتاب المشوق خط جو الساف تاريخ حياته منذ نشأته الأولى وهجرته من لبنان، من ضيعته حريم في شمال لبنان وجباله الشامخة والتي وهبت العالم قديسين وكتابا ومفكرين وشعراء ومبدعين. كتب جو الساف عن كفاحه المستمر وتحديه للصعوبات التي واجهت طريق طموحه في تربته وكيف أنه قد تغلب عليها، وذلك بسبب مثابرته واعتماده على الله وعلى قدرته الذاتية. فجو عساف رجل مؤمن يستمد من إيمانه دورا يهدي طريقه مما يعطيه قوة في التعاطي مع المصاعب التي تعترضه. وإنني أنصح كل مغترب أن يقرأ هذا الكتاب الرائع لما يحتويه من نصائح صادرة عن رجل واجه الحياة بكل قوة وزخم. في إطار آخر أرى جو عساف مؤسس جائزة رجال الأعمال من أصل مثلي. هذه الجائزة التي تم تأسيسها منذ 25 سنة وهي تعطى للرجال أو النساء الناجحين في مضمار الأعمال والذين ولدوا خارج أستراليا ومن مختلف الإثنيات دون تمييز وهاجروا إلى أستراليا ونجحوا في أعمالهم. وهذه الجائزة هي بمثابة تذكير بالدور الفعال الذي قام به المهاجرون والذين يقومون به لغاية الآن، وهم من دعائم هذا المجتمع المتعدد الجنسيات. هذا هو باختصار جو عساف، وإذ إنني أهنئ رابطة إحياء التراث العربي في أستراليا على اختيارهم السيد جو عساف لمنحه جائزة جبران خليل جبران للأدبية العالمية لعام 2012. أكرر تهانية للسيد جو عساف ولعائلته ومحبيه وألف مبروك. جون دانيال، سفير لبنان. شكرا.
Just at the mention of In Someone Else's Shoes by Mr. Joseph Asaf, I'd like to let all of you know that there are boxes at the door with the book and everybody here is entitled to take one home with them. I'd now like to invite Mr. Ali Nassif, President of the Arabic League in Australia, to say a few words.
On behalf of the Arabic Heritage League in Australia, I would like to welcome and thanks each and every one of you for accepting our invitation and for being here at the New South Wales Parliament House to celebrate the joy of giving. Ladies and gentlemen, since its inception in 1981, the Arabic Heritage League in Australia has sought to acknowledge and reward individuals for exceptional achievement. We are pleased to announce that the 2012 Gebran International Award recipients are Mr. Hussein Samawi for music and Mr. Joseph Asaf for the outstanding work for the community and for his book In Someone Else's Shoes. On your behalf, I congratulate our award winners and wishing them the best with God bless, and thank you very much. Also, we see in our award recipient a means to encourage so many of us to continue on the path set by the Arabic Heritage League since 1981. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you all for participation tonight, and especially our thanks for the government representatives and members of parliament, ministers, diplomats, religious and community leaders, media, poets, doctors, business people, political parties. Finally, our thanks to the Arab Bank Australia for its continuing support and sponsor for so many years. Also, our thanks for everyone who contributed to succeed in this event, to succeed of this event. Thank you. And now, I would like to say a few words in Arabic, please. أسعدتم مساء. سنة 1981 وبالذكرى 50 لوفاة الأديب والفنان الكبير جبران خليل جبران، أعلن الأمين العام للأمم المتحدة الدكتور كورت فالدهايم سنة جبران العالمية. وكان لهذا النبأ الأثر الكبير عند الكثيرين من أهل الفكر والقلم في جميع أنحاء العالم. وفي أستراليا وبدعوة من الأستاذ كامل المر التقت مجموعة من الشباب والشابات بقصد القيام بعمل أدبي لتلك المناسبة القيمة. هذا وبفضل الجهود والإرادة والتصميم كان النشاط الأول بإقامة مهرجان كبيرا تهافتت إليه الجالية اللبنانية والعربية بكل أطيافها وبشكل عفوي ومميز. ونتيجة لذلك الإنجاز والالتفاف الجماهيري الكبير تواصلت اللقاءات وتشكلت الهيئة التأسيسية باسم رابطة أصدقاء جبران خليل جبران. وفي سنة 1987 وخلال إحدى الاجتماعات الدورية رأت الهيئة أنه من الضروري أن يستمر هذا النشاط البالغ الأهمية، وبعد التباحث والمشاورات والاستشارات تم الاتفاق على متابعة الطريق الطويل والجهد الذي اخترناه بكامل إرادتنا واتخذنا له اسما جديدا هو رابطة أحياء التراث العربي في أستراليا، كوننا جزء من الوطن العربي الغني بتراثه وجذوره وانتمائه إلى أعرق الحضارات في العالم. ومن ضمن أهداف الرابطة تعريف المجتمع الأسترالي بالحضارة والفكر العربي، وكذلك نقل الفكر والحضارة الأسترالية إلى الوطن والإنسان العربي لتكن بمثابة الجسر الثقافي وحلقة الوصل بين الإنسان العربي والوطن الأم. كذلك كان للرابطة الدور الفعال بتشجيع وتعليم اللغة العربية لأبناء الجالية في المدارس الرسمية، والذي تحقق بفضل الجهود والتعاون الإيجابي لأبناء الجالية لدى وزارة التربية والتعليم. ومن أهم أهداف الرابطة إنشاء جائزة أدبية تقديرية تحمل اسم جائزة جبران خليل جبران العالمية، تمنح لكل عمل أدبي أو فكري أو فني أو اجتماعي مبدع يتخذ من قيم الخير والحق والجمال نبراسا له، ويناصر قضايا الشعوب من أجل حريتها واستقلالها بغض النظر عن الدين واللون والجنس والحضارة. ولغاية الآن دأبت الرابطة على تكريم الكثيرين من رواد الفكر والفن والعطاء والخدمات الإنسانية، وأنني إذ أقدر القيمين بتلك الأعمال المباركة لأكثر من 30 عاما، وأثمن أدوارهم وأتعابهم وتفانيهم من رؤساء وأعضاء إداريين تطوعوا لخدمة الرابطة على حساب عائلاتهم ومصالحهم، وهم فعلا كالشموع التي تذوب لتنير دروب الآخرين. أيها السيدات والسادة، أن يمنح عالم أو أديب أو فنان أو شاعر أو مستحق جائزة جبران العالمية هذا لا يعني التقاعد والانكفاء، بل العكس. وإن وإن المسؤولية على عاتقه قد تضاعفت وكبرت، والكل ينتظر منه الكثير والمزيد. وهذه السنة يضاف إلى القافلة الجبرانية 2 من مستحقيها، فباسم شهداء الكلمة في كل زمان ومكان تمنح رابطة إحياء التراث العربي في أستراليا جائزة جبران التقديرية العالمية إلى كل من وفقا للترتيب الأبجدي العربي الفنان القدير حسين السماوي والأستاذ جوزيف عساف. فباسمكم جميعا نتقدم منهما بأحر وأعطر وأخلص التهاني القلبية الصادقة، راجين لهما المزيد من الصحة والعافية والعطاء المتواصل. أخيرا وليس آخرا، لا يسعني إلا التقدم بالشكر والامتنان للحكومات والوزراء والنواب وممثلي السفارات والسلك الدبلوماسي ورجال الدين ورؤساء وممثلي الجمعيات والأحزاب والروابط وممثلي الإعلام، أدباء وكتاب وشعراء، دكاترة، رجال أعمال وحرف. ونخص بالشكر رعاية البنك العربي أستراليا بشخص مديره العام الأستاذ جو رزق لدعمه المتواصل لأعمال الرابطة. وأيضا الشكر إلى كل من ساهم بإنجاح هذا الاحتفال الشيق. والشكر الخالص للفنان الكبير إدوار هيدو لرسمه البورتريت الشخصي لجبران خليل جبران ولتصويره لهذه المناسبة مع فريق عمله الكرام. وشكرا وكل عام وأنتم بخير.
Thank you, Mr. Nassif. I would now like to call Mr. Joe Rizet, Managing Director of Arab Bank Australia, to say a few words.
Thank you very much, Alex. I love his music, especially when you've got to come up here and say a few words. It just makes it so much easier. Members of Federal Parliament, State, councillors, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. Arab Bank's been involved with the Heritage League now for quite a number of years, and I personally owe it to Peter Anderi when he first gave me a call and said, look, you know, we need your support. And I said, tell me all about it. And just listening to Peter all those years ago in terms of what the committee was trying to achieve was really inspiring. It was heartwarming. And we should never forget the individual contributions that people make. And the awards that go tonight are to people that have achieved individual achievements that we should all recognise and be very, very proud of. I've had a lot to do with one of the award winners over recent years, an individual that I've known for quite a long time. My family, my brother and so forth have known him for quite a number of years, and we're proud that we've known him. We're also very proud of the fact of what he's been able to achieve in this country. But there's a lot of people in the Arabic community that have been standouts, and we should be all very, very proud of it. I think the most important thing that we should be proud of is this country. And I suppose the gifts that this country has given us and the ability for us to really emphasise our heritage, our culture, and plant those seeds in this environment, this fabulous soil that we walk on. And we await the rain quite often, but the flowers and the fruits that come out of this ground is enormous. And hopefully for the years to come, that fruit is also reflected in our children and our grandchildren. But it's up to us to make sure that we sow the right seeds today. And I just want to say that I'm proud to have been involved with what Peter's vision was. And I hope and I'm sure that Ali and his team will move along the same path. And I'm not shy about telling people that if I feel that there's a bit of diversion about what the initial approach has been or what the initial target has been. And we should all feel that way. Express our views, you know, because we should be proud about the longer term vision that we have for this country, for our background, and for the achievements of people that have gone before us and the people that are actually achieving things today. So for the Arab Bank, we've been here for quite a number of years, and for us, heritage, culture, diversity make this country. And Joe Asaf is always talking about diversity and the contribution that diversity makes to this country. This is what this country's been built on. And congratulations. What a great venue for tonight to recognise some fabulous achievements. So thank you very much from the Arab Bank, and we look forward to working with you for many more years. Thank you very much.
Ray Williams is invited to say a few words on behalf of the New South Wales Premier, Mr. Barry O'Farrell.
Ladies and gentlemen, good evening. It is a great pleasure to welcome you all here on behalf of the Honourable Barry O'Farrell, the Premier of New South Wales, to welcome you into the birthplace of democracy in this country, the New South Wales Parliament. Can I thank the organisers of the Arabic Heritage League for bringing you all together here tonight. Can I first of all acknowledge some other members of my colleagues who are here, who have crept in. Matt Keane, the member for Hornsby, was here, as is John Ajaka, who did come late, but he's still come. That's the most important thing. And my very, very good friend, Barbara Perry, the member for Auburn. And I acknowledge Barbara Perry because Barbara represents an area, and I'll come back to my federal colleagues. I'm not ignoring you, Philip or Louise. I will come back and acknowledge you in a moment. But I just want to make mention of Barbara Perry, because I think it's poignant to note Barbara represents an area of Auburn that encapsulates no less than 40 different nationalities. Is that right, Barbara? Many more than 40 different nationalities. That's exactly right. She understands firsthand the diverse background of people and the different nationalities that make up that area. She also understands how important it is to share with those people their ideals, their beliefs, to work with those people to create a better community. The same beliefs as what we share in the New South Wales Government. And that's why I say to you tonight, thank you for being here. Thank you for the contribution and the hard work that you have made to this country. And as has been said before, it is the diverse nature of this country that makes it such a wonderful place. We share with you your visions and your goals, and by doing that, we create greater opportunities for all of us in the future. It is one of the pleasures that I have tonight to extract some funds out of you on behalf of the Arabic Heritage League by auctioning a wonderful picture over here, which of a man who needs absolutely no introduction. Now, Eves, I was going to say, do you think there's a couple of strong men that would be able to lift this picture up? Perhaps bring it up here to the front, just to display it to everybody. Ladies and gentlemen, I just want to tell you before we have a very, very short auction that this is a very, very unique picture, being in colour. I believe, I've been advised, that is the only one of its kind in the world. It is very, very unique and therefore has a very, very expensive price tag. There is a limit, there is a reserve on this. But what I would like you to do, if I can get some of these very, very able and fit bodied men to bring this picture to the front, just so that you can just see it firsthand. Just have a look very closely, ladies and gentlemen. This is an extremely unique item.
This is Barbara Perry, Member for Auburn, to address us on behalf of the Leader of the Opposition, Mr. John Robertson.
Friends, it's wonderful to be here tonight and to have this function, the Khalil Gebran Awards, in the Parliament of New South Wales. And I think that is so significant that it is here. Can I just acknowledge all of my parliamentary colleagues that were here tonight, and if they've left, I want to acknowledge that they were here earlier to support this function. And of course, Father Tarabay, there isn't an event that you're not at, and it's wonderful to see you here tonight. And of course, Ellie Nassif, our president of this particular organisation, a very important organisation. Thank you for your efforts and that of your committee. Tony Issa for hosting us. Tony, you always do the right thing by our community. Thank you for doing so, Tony. You're a wonderful person, and you're an asset to our parliament and to our community. And John Ajaka especially. Philip, who's very much, as Louise is, part of the Australian Lebanese family. Welcome to our parliament, Philip. Thank you very much for being here and supporting once again this wonderful community. And to our very newest consul, who's not so new now, Mr. Georges Bitar Ghanem, thank you for coming. I've seen you at a lot of events now. You're really active, and that is so important for our community. And it's so important tonight that you're here for these awards. It's my pleasure to join you on behalf of, and Ray, thank you for mentioning Auburn. And just so that you know, Ray, and it's 160 different communities and cultures living in Auburn, and I'm very proud of it. Very, very proud of the place I represent. Thank you, Ray, for your words tonight on behalf of the Premier. And it's my pleasure now to talk on behalf, of course, of the Opposition Leader, John Robertson. These awards are a celebration of some amazing people in our local community. People that have made a tremendous contribution not only in their fields, of tonight literature and music, but to our community overall. And can I just say on behalf of the New South Wales Opposition, as I speak for all parliamentarians in this room, how much we value your hard work, your passion and your commitment to shape our Australian community and the Arab world. And we say to you, thank you for your service and your gifts. And who better, of course, to base these awards on than the great Lebanese poet and artist Khalil Gebran. These awards and our recipients tonight highlight the diversity of talents we enjoy in our multicultural community. And indeed, it has brought great depth and dynamism to every aspect of Australian life. Khalil Gebran was a man who embraced the arts and celebrated the mind and its incredible potential. And can I say that in that sense, what tonight is about is simply this, that humans are made to create. And if we live without the arts, we cut part of our humanity off. The arts break down stereotypes, and they facilitate connections between both people, and they connect up ideas. And tonight, both music and literature have their representatives in Mr. Joseph Asaf, a dear friend, and Mr. Hussan Al-Samwi. Joseph, we know, has written a wonderful book, and he's told the story, that migrant story that many of us know and that we have shared. And Hussein has, through his beautiful music, inspired us and created something very powerful through music, because music speaks all languages. So these people are exemplars in their own right. And like our award winners tonight, Gebran was a fantastic example of what it means to be a good citizen, always trying to achieve our personal best whilst using our talents to give back to the community. Really, I think what each and every one of you in this room is all about, and something that I'm extremely proud of and thankful for is that each and every one of you, not just our award winners tonight, is about bettering the world through your own actions and abilities. And I wake up every morning and I say to myself, the people that I've met in this job over the last 10 years are not ordinary people, they're extraordinary people. And tonight, in this room, all of you are extraordinary. Thank you. I'm going to finish off, Alex. Alex, the Arabic Heritage League is in itself the epitome of that philosophy. And for now over a quarter of a century, the League has been maintaining our heritage, whilst making a contribution to this country and humanity as a whole. So the League has highlighted the need for each person to play their part in building a stronger community. So it's my pleasure once again to join you all this evening on behalf of John Robertson, the Leader of the Opposition, to congratulate our most recent recipients, Joseph Asaf and Hussein Al-Samwi. We are indeed blessed to bear witness to your talents and to your contributions to Australia and your art, whether it's literature or music. And once again, Ellie and the committee, can I thank the Arabic Heritage League for your commitment to our community and not only your organisation of our event, but your passion about what it is to be an Australian Lebanese. Thank you.
I'd now like to invite the Honourable Philip Ruddock, Member for Barara, to address us.
Well, thank you very much for that very warm welcome. Can I say how delighted I am to be here with my colleague, Louise Marcus. Louise is relatively new to the Federal Parliament, but I might say to my good friend Barbara Perry that I've been coming to this Parliament since about 1962.
Before I was born, thank God for that.
She's wondering whether I was suggesting she might remember. But can I thank our parliamentary host, Tony Issa? Can I acknowledge Matt Keane, John Ajaka, Shakwut Musselman, Barbara Perry, and can I also acknowledge the Consul General and Reverend Father. It's a great pleasure to be here tonight and to be here for the presentation of the Gebran International Literary Award for 2012. And I acknowledge our recipients, Joe Asif and Hassan Al-Samawi. Can I say that I do not know Hassan as well as I know Joseph, but I have heard of Hassan's great reputation as a composer of very considerable note, and I understand that he, like many Iraqis, much more recent arrivals in Australia, have made an enormous contribution to this nation, and particularly through the Arabic culture. And I'm delighted that the Arabic Heritage League in Australia, in the form of our president, Eli Nassif, recognises those significant contributions. But for me, the award to Joe Asaf is something that is very special, and I hope, Hussein, you will forgive me if I emphasise Joe as a friend of very long standing. Joe came to Australia in 1967, and he's written about that. He worked in a factory at night and studied at university. And I might say it took him only 5 years to do that. By 1972, when I was just about to enter the Parliament, he had completed his Bachelor of Arts degree at my old alma mater, Sydney University. majoring in social theory, and went on to undertake studies in relation to interpreting and translating. It's that career that has been something that is so remarkable. I looked out a CV. He is worse than me. It runs to pages. I won't emphasise all of the points that are made, but in 1977, only some 5 years after he had graduated, he started Ethnic Communications, and it has been an extraordinarily successful business, so much so that some people want to pay him a lot of money for it, I suspect. And for me, I might say, it was in those very early days, in the early 80s, that he befriended me. Some people think that I have some linkages with communities here in Australia. My linkages have been forged by the friends that I have made. And Joseph played a very special part, not just in introducing me to my Middle Eastern friends, but to introducing me to friends right across our rich cultural and diverse nation. In 1988 he founded the Ethnic Business Awards, and it was sponsored by one of our major banks for something like 12 years. And he inspired others to acknowledge the same, and he is still, tells me today, 2nd of November, 1st of November, thank you, they will be awarded again here in Sydney. An event that says to people who come and make a contribution to this nation, you have succeeded, and you have succeeded in a particularly well way. But for me, I think Joseph exhibited a better understanding of Australia than most Australians. I often say to people that cultural diversity is our strength, but I was looking at some other material, and it was a speech that Joseph gave to the 1995 Global Cultural Diversity Conference in Sydney. And I thought this was particularly incisive, as he said, on an average day in Australia, 500,000 people, 500,000 telephone calls are made to 150 overseas destinations. And on Christmas Day, 7 million international phone calls are made. And what he's telling you about are the linkages of Australians with the rest of the world. The average week sees more than 2,000 radio broadcast hours in more than 70 languages, and over 400 hours television in more than 12 languages, and over 2.5 million copies of foreign language newspapers printed each week in Australia in more than 30 languages. And I suspect all of that is probably out of date in the context of our growing diversity. But what it says is that we have been enormously successful because we are proud of what those who have come and settled here in Australia have done and the contributions they've made. I was particularly impressed as Joseph wrote about his own story in his book, In Someone Else's Shoes. And I suspect it's been plagiarised by SBS now for some other purposes. But it's a particularly incisive book about the experience of somebody who has settled so well in this nation. I am very proud to number Joe as a friend. I think he helped to make me in the role that I have fulfilled in this nation. And for that reason, I think he is a very, very special Australian, of whom we can all be proud. I'm just glad that I've had an opportunity to be here and to be able to say this. And Hussein, I hope you will forgive me. We eulogise you as a great composer, as a great musician. And I hope in time, when we've been able to be friends for something like 40 years, as Joseph and I have been, I'll be able to make a longer speech about you. But thank you very much, and congratulations to both of our recipients.
The Arabic Heritage League prides itself on each year presenting two worthy community leaders with a token of their appreciation. The International Gebran Awards have become a tradition since they were first presented in 1987. The award, named after the famous Lebanese writer Khalil Gebran, is each year awarded to members of our community who have demonstrated an acute awareness of their surroundings and a commitment to improving the circumstances of those around them through innovation and effort. Our first award recipient tonight was born in Hardin, in the Batroun district of Lebanon in 1944 and migrated to Australia in 1967. His story of migration is an interesting one. In 1967, when the Suez Canal was closed because of the Arab-Israeli conflict, Mr. Asaf was lucky enough to come by plane. He was told that he had to buy a pair of new shoes because of quarantine laws in Australia. He bought a new pair of shoes, sat on the plane, and waited. That day, the plane was cancelled, and he was told to come back the next day. So he did. He was wearing his new shoes. One of the plane staff was walking around checking. Mr. Asaf's shoes had accumulated dust since the day before. The passengers on the plane were rummaging through their bags, searching for a new pair of shoes. One of the passengers found one. It was 2 sizes too big. Mr. Asaf donned the new shoes and tells this as a story of how he arrived in Australia in someone else's shoes. Mr. Ruddock has beat me to acknowledging Mr. Joseph Asaf's many contributions to the community. I will just add that he participates in many community events and is a major sponsor of the National Student Leadership Forum. As a matter of fact, I myself last year was sponsored by Mr. Joseph Asaf to attend the National Student Leadership Forum, and I thank him sincerely. He currently lives in Sydney with his beautiful wife Angela and their 3 sons. Please join me in welcoming Mr. Joseph Asaf to the stage.
What can I say? I'm honored and humbled. I'm honored by the presence of every one of you and by whatever you said. ولدت عربي اللسان أتكلم لغة المتنبي وخليل جبران. تثقفت بلغة فولتير ولامارتين. هاجرت إلى بلاد يتكلم أهلها لغة شكسبير. تزوجت من امرأة تتلمذت بلغة دانتي وليوناردو دافنشي. تخرجت من مدرسة ضمت في كل صف من صفوفها تعددية اللبنانيين بتنوعياتها والتنوعية اللبنانية بتعددياتها. وكانت الأقدار أن أهبط في هذه المدينة بحذاء شخص آخر. Yes, as Sandra said, I landed in this city in someone else's shoes. No family, no money, no language. And I fell in love with the three things: a country, a woman, and an idea. I was fascinated by the diversity of Australia, the diversity of everything, faces and races, languages, religion, cuisine, publications. I decided to call Australia home. The woman is the same woman that I have been with for the last 35 years, the mother of my 3 boys and the grandmother for my 3 grandchildren, an Australian-born Italian. I often call her my white angel because her Italian name literally means she was called Angela Bianca, so she is my white angel. The idea is the idea of how to communicate with this diversity, with these people who come from all over the world. So we created, with my wife, the world's first multicultural communication agency. And that agency, that company, took us everywhere, to every community. There are hundreds of them in Australia. And we used the local experience to go to their countries because we knew that the road to the Middle East begins in Lakemba. And the road to Vietnam begins in Cabramatta. And the road to Italy begins in Leichhardt. And the road to China begins in Ashfield or Chatswood or Hurstville. And the road to the world begins in Australia. My love for the country, for this country, came from my love for the country that gave me shelter for the first 22 years of my age. And my love for the woman came from my love for the woman who gave me shelter for 9 months before I came out into this planet. And my love for the idea came from my love for the faith that taught me to love everyone without any exception. All that experience throughout my journey made me write in someone else's shoes. And there are 3 topics that I covered in this book. 1, the cultural diversity that brings harmony. Because I believe there is no harmony without diversity. No rainbow with one color, and no society with one culture. The second benefit is the benefit of migration. And for that reason, I created the Ethnic Business Award. And the third benefit is the benefit in knowing how to communicate with the diversity. And I remember very vividly, as a child, in primary school and in secondary school in Lebanon, when our teacher made us memorize one day the poem of Yusuf Sauda, a former Lebanese diplomat. He was an ambassador to Brazil, and he delivered a speech and a poem at a gathering, and in it he said, in talking about the harmony that come out from the diversity of religion in Lebanon, because they told him there could be a problem with that diversity. And he said in Arabic, قالوا الطوائف والأديان ترهقه، قلت المفاخر في تعداد أدياني، ما مثل لبنان بلد ارتفعت فوقه حرية الدين والدنيا لإنسان، شعب سموح إذا صلى يرنحه صوت المسيح أو تجويد قرآني. And in the same book, in the same poem, Yusuf al-Sauda, when they said to him, look at the migrants from Lebanon, and he described them as empire builders, people who venture out and they go and they build empires in all the countries that they settle in. And he said in Arabic, مشى على بركات الله عدته من عزم لبنان وصلب صواني، من فك يقتحم الأهوال منتزعا حق الحياة بأظفار وأسنان، حتى بنى القصر فوق الكوخ يرفعه، ما الفخر بالكفر كل الفخر بالباني. These are the migrants who built, these are the migrants who achieved against the odds here in Australia. And the third benefit, and that one made me create the agency. Again, vividly I remember the teacher saying, look, this is a poem written by Alphonse Lamartine, the first romantic poet in France. He lived in the early part of the 19th century. He was also a diplomat, and he also ran the provisional government for a few months in France in 1848. Alphonse Lamartine went to Switzerland, and he met a young woman by the name of Julie Charles. He fell in love with her. It was very romantic love. He promised that he will write a poem for her. He came back a year later. She was dead. He wrote his famous poem called Le Lac, the lake. And that poem was translated into hundreds of languages, not once, hundreds of times. And our teacher said, you look at this translation in Arabic. It is not a translation, it's a recreation. The creativity plays an important role. And he said, this is how it should be. You should be more creative in the translation. So, what I wanted to say, that poem taught me the best lesson of my life. Never translate an ad. So when I came to Australia and I established the company, Ethnic Communication, I made sure no advertisement is translated. Each one is created. I wanted to recite it to you. This is what an English translation by a translator, a writer by the name of A.Z. Foreman. I'm going to give you the English first and then tell you how the original one and the Arabic one. This is what he said. Thus, driven forth forever to new shores, borne toward eternal night, and never away, sailing the sea of ages, can we not drop anchor for one day? O lake, the year has scarcely spun its course. Now, by the waves she meant to see again, watch how I sit alone up in this stone on which you saw her then. The French was ainsi toujours poussé vers des niveaux rivages, dans la nuit éternelle, emportés sans retour, ne pourrons-nous jamais, sur l'océan des âges, jeter l'ancre un seul jour? Ô lac, l'année à peine a fini sa carrière, et près des flots chéris qu'elle devait revoir, regarde, je viens seul m'asseoir sur cette pierre où tu l'as vu s'asseoir. This is the Arabic. And it was translated many times, but this one by a doctor by the name of N'Oula Fayyad. He was also a translator. He said, أهكذا أبدا تمضي أمانينا نطوي الحياة وليل الموت يطوينا تجري بنا سفن الأعمار ماخرة بحر الوجود ولا نلقي مراسينا بحيرة الحب حياك الحيا فلكم كانت مياهك بالنجوى تحيينا قد كنت أرجو ختام العام يجمعنا واليوم للدهر لا يرجى تلاقينا. That was my lesson to begin the world's first multicultural advertising communication agency. My journey taught me many things, but tonight, because we are talking about Khalil Gebran, I learned a lot from Gebran. And I can quote a few things, especially when he talked about love. And we heard earlier people talking about it. He said, and this is very important for diversity, I love you when you bow in your mosque, kneel in your temple, pray in your church. For you and I are sons of one religion, and it is the Spirit. Love one another, but make no bond of love. I say that if you want to be heard, you have to hear others. If you want to be understood, you have to understand others. If you want to see the world through someone else's eyes, you have to stand beside them. If you want to hear the cries of someone else's passion, you have to follow them. If you want to hear the beat of someone else's heart, you have to embrace them. If you want to feel the weight of someone else's burden, you have to help them. How can you be blessed? Because to be blessed, you need to bless others. And to bless others, you have to love others. But how can you love one another if you do not know how to walk a journey in someone else's shoes? Thank you. I'm sorry, I did not mention anyone. Hopefully I didn't forget. But I want to thank every one of you, because I'm really honored by your presence. And I begin with Mr. George Bitar Ghanem, the Consul General. Thank you, and thank you and thank the ambassador on my behalf. I thank also the representative of the Premier, Ray Williams. Thank my friend Barbara Perry. I thank Tony Issa for hosting the night. Thank Tony Kazis, Sandra. I thank Elena Nassif, is the first one who approached me with Eve Khoury. Thank you, Eve. I thank Joe Risk and the Arab Bank, because to me, the Arab Bank has become the dean of cultural heritage in this country, or the Arabic cultural heritage. There is hardly something to do or to support the Arabic heritage that the Arab Bank or Joe Risk doesn't support. Thank you, Joe. I also like to thank my special friend, Philip Braddock, for 40 years friend. And I thank you, Philip, for saying more than I deserve to say. You've been a great friend, and truly, you've been a great supporter of the cultural diversity in general. Not only the Lebanese or the Arabic community, but every community. And you are a true hero in Australia. I thank Louise Marcus. And Louise and I, of course, not 40 years of a friend, but for quite a number of years. I thank Shaukat Musulmani. I saw his face somewhere there. I don't know if he's still here. Shaukat, thank you for being present here tonight. Thank John Ajaka. And I thank every one of you. Forgive me if I forget anyone, because you are all special. and you've honored me with a special award. Thank you.
ولد في مدينة السماوة في العراق عام 1943. نشأ في عائلة فقيرة محافظة، وكانت دراسته الابتدائية والمتوسطة في السماوة. سافر إلى بغداد حيث دخل معهد الفنون الجميلة فرع الموسيقى سنة 1960. درس فيها على أساتذة كبار منهم الأستاذ روحي الخماش والأستاذ نجدة التركي، وتخرج من المعهد. حصل على وظيفة في مديرية تربية الرصافة بغداد في قسم النشاط المدرسي، وأمضى فيه أكثر من 19 عاما. قدم فيها الكثير من النشاطات المدرسية، ولحن الكثير من الأوبريتات الغنائية، وفاز بجوائز عديدة. بدأ يقدم بعض الألحان للإذاعة والتلفزيون، وقام باكتشاف العديد من المواهب الغنائية التي قدمت وما تزال تقدم الكثير للفن العراقي الأصيل. لحن لمطربين منهم فاضل عواد وحسين نعمي وياس خضر، ولحن أيضا مقدمات لمسلسلات تلفزيونية وإذاعية، وأغاني لأوبريتات ومسرحيات عراقية عديدة، وأغاني للأطفال. وبسبب الظروف التي مر بها العراق سافر إلى الأردن، وهناك أيضا قدم بعض الأعمال الفنية، وشكل فرقة غنائية مكونة من 300 طالب وطالبة من طلاب المدارس الثانوية. بعد قدومه إلى أستراليا شارك في تقديم الألحان لمسرحية عن العراق عرضت في سيدني وميلبورن، وكذلك لحنت لأوبرات الغناء العراق والذي عرض في العديد من القنوات العراقية. قدم الأغنية الوطنية يا حمام للمطرب إسماعيل فاضل، وعرضت في قنوات منها قناة الشرقية. يعمل حاليا على إنجاز سكتش بعنوان ممكن نحلم، إضافة إلى 3 أغاني لصديقه الشاعر عزيز رسام. تعرض في الآونة الأخيرة لأزمة صحية حدت كثيرا من نشاطه الفني، ولكنه يعمل على أن يكون ما يقدم رسالة حب إلى وطنه العراق الذي أنهكته الأزمات والمصائب. إنه الملحن الفنان العراقي حسين طاهر السماوي. مستحق الجائزة حسين طاهر السماوي.
دأبت مشكورة رابطة إحياء التراث العربي على تكريم المبدعين من أبناء الجالية العربية في جائزة سنوية أطلق عليها اسم الشاعر النابغة جبران خليل جبران. ولقد كان لنا الشرف أن يشمل التكريم هذا العام فنان العراق المبدع حسين السماوي، فنان منعه المرض أن يقدم الشكر بنفسه، فخط بأنامله التي طالما داعبت أوتار العود لتسمعنا تلك الألحان العراقية الخالدة. خطت أنامله هذا اليوم شكرا وعرفانا للرابطة لالتفاتتها الكريمة التي أثبتت أن ميزان التكريم للمبدعين لدى من يديرها لا يختص بجالية أو بمذهب بقدر تعلقها بالإبداع والمبدعين. نشكر رابطة إحياء التراث العربي على هذا التكريم والحفاوة الذي سيظل وساما يعترف ويعتز به فنان العراق حسين السماوي. أيضا أود الإشارة أن ابنه قد همس إلى مسمع الآن، إنه برغم الحالة التي هو فيها الآن لا زال يلحن ويسجل لنفسه في الخفاء ليقدم لكم أحلى الموسيقى لكم مني كل الشكر باسمي وباسم الأستاذ حسين السماوي. شكرا إلى رابطة إحياء التراث العربي، شكرا إلى كل الذين عملوا لإنجاز هذه الليلة. شكرا لكم جميعا.
تغني لحن من ألحان الحبيب حسن سيئون، أنت بتعرف اللحن، يلا تفضل.
طيب، هو يعني لحن كثير بالعراقي، ولكن ما بعرف اللغة العراقية تجوز صعبة عليكم اللهجة يعني. عنده كثير يعني أغاني، ولكن أغنية إله هو مشهورة جدا إله، وطالما أنه هو غنى للسلام والسلامات فهو أكثر الناس الآن يستحق السلامات. لك مني يا أستاذ حسين ألف سلامة وشفاء إن شاء الله. أغنيته المشهورة هي سلامات، يعني غناها الفنان العراقي حميد منصور ولحنها الأستاذ حسين السماوي. أود أن أغنيها إلى مسامعكم. سلامات سلامات أبعد سلامات، صبح ومساء يا هواي أبعد سلامات. سلامات سلامات ريتك سلامات، صبح ومساء يا هواي ريتك سلامات. شكرا جزيلا.
If I may, I'd just like to call Tony Issa up to the stage, please.
I didn't say much early tonight about Eli Nassif. Eli, the unknown soldier. If I need to describe or just to highlight Eli achievement over many, many years, your contribution to the community over many years, gonna take me a few years to finish it. But let me tell you one thing. A lot of friends would like to honor you, Eli, to say thank you for your hard work, for your contribution. إذا بدي شيء أحكي عن إلي اليوم وعن عطاءاته وشو عمل للجالية، هالجندي المجهول اللي كان هو ورا كل عمل ناجح بحياته، بدنا وقت طويل تنحكي عنه. إلي كانت أعماله هي بتحكي عنه. مسر المجال أحكي قبل عن اللي تكرموا اليوم، اللي كان خينا حسين اللي كان هو بالإنجاز الموسيقي، أو خينا جوزيف عساف اللي شو بنحكي عنه ما كان كافي اليوم، مش حزيد عليهم. بس اليوم اللي أنت بتنضم لقافلة رجال العطاءات، ونقول لك من قلبنا ألف شكر. I give you pleasure to present Eli's award in recognition of his hard work in serving for the Arabic-speaking community in Australia. Eli, it's been a pleasure to present you this award.
أنا بشكركم كثير، بشكرك توني واللي ورا هالتكريم هيدا. نحن هون لنكرم مش لنكرم، نحن هون لنكرم أصحاب الكفاءات والمستحقين، ولكن هالتكريم هيدا كان مفاجأة كبيرة لإلي. أنا أكثر ما فيني أقول بحبكم كلكم والمحبة كلها من قلبي، وأنا بشكركم كلكم وبشكر كل اللي ورا هالمفاجأة الحلوة هذه، وشكرا.